So we just got back from seeing Spider-Man No Way Home.
Hey, kid. Yeah, you. Everyone thinks toys are fun, but this is a channel for adults. Yeah, I said it. If you're under the age of 18, go get your parents before you come in here. If you're under the age of 13, scram! Let's get on with the show.
It was amazing. Without giving away any spoilers just yet, the effects were wonderful. The casting was incredible. The crew obviously loved what they were doing and put that love into this movie.
Absolutely agree. I would go so far as to say that not only is this the best MCU movie, it's the best Spider-Man movie.
Yes.
Probably the best overall Marvel movie ever made.
I think I would agree too, yes.
And I say that with absolutely no hesitation.
No, me either. It's wonderful.
But that's pretty much all we can say without saying that there are spoilers coming. Spoilers.
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 The movie will be ruined if you keep watching.
There are spoilers coming.
Spoilers now.
Spoilers now.
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 Spoilers.
Spoilers.
You've been warned.
You have been warned.
Spoilers!
Spoilers!
There you go. It's not like Slayer, is it?
No, Slayer, spoilers, whatever.
It's not the same thing. Well, shit happened, and it was an amazing movie. Some of the rumors are true, and some of them aren't. And what you think is going to happen is not what happens.
No, I went into it thinking that it was going to be, I had kind of seen some spoilers ahead of time. Knowing that Tobey Maguire was going to be in the movie was one of them that I already knew. I was not prepared for the depth that they went into with these characters. I was not prepared for the screen time for these characters. It was an amazing ride.
And getting to, like, the spoiler that Tobey Maguire's in the movie, it was a rumor.
Yeah.
And in the press, they vehemently denied his involvement with the film. He's like, I don't know what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And they tricked us.
And he was there. In all of his glory, he looked amazing in that Spider-Man suit.
Yep.
They all did.
That's a big spoiler. Like, even though I say spoilers, it's like, I was still going to be kind of cool about it.
No. Spoilers. You were warned. It's spoilers.
That's what he said. Well, there's one big spoiler we're not going to give away.
Okay. All right. We'll leave that one for the audiences.
Yeah. All I will say is that this film does an amazing job of bringing the MCU Spider-Man of Tom Holland full circle, brings him even closer to being the Spider-Man we grew up with in the comics.
Yes.
And also has shades of the Spider-Man from previous cinematic universes.
Yes. I laughed, I cried, I cheered. It was wonderful.
She did. I was right next to her. I could hear it. Yeah, it was good. Every Spider-Man film I see takes me back to when I was a little tiny kid.
Mm-hmm.
And this one was no different. And I don't know if they were planning this story arc the whole time. If they were, awesome. If they weren't, even more awesome, really, because they really brought things around to a place that I just didn't see that they could do. Mm-hmm. Spider-Man No Way Home, pretty good, right?
Yeah, go see it.
You heard her, go see it. Okay, bye.
Okay.
Now I'm going to get into super spoilers. So, if you were a dunderhead and you stuck around, now is really the time you need to fuck off. Not kidding. If you have any plans to see this movie and you have not, stop the video. The only time I'm going to say that. Okay. So, I've been a fan of Spider-Man as long as I can remember. I've been watching every iteration on the cartoon for the most part up until the Raimi Spider-Man films started with animation, things like that. I was a huge fan of the Nicholas Hammond TV show as a kid, and once the Raimi Spider-Man hit, it was like magic. I cried like a baby. I never thought I would live to see the day that a legitimate Spider-Man film was made. It got made. then the second one got made, and then the third one got made, and Amazing Spider-Man got made, and the second one got made. And each time they've iterated, for the most part, I've said they're learning from their mistakes, but they don't quite have it right yet. When Tom Holland came on the scene in Civil War, to me, that's the Spider-Man that I remember for the most part. In these films, we have quite literally seen this young man grow up. And in this film, Spider-Man, Peter Parker, matures to the level that the other previous cinematic Spider-Men, if you will, were forced into through circumstance. In this universe, we never see Uncle Ben get killed. We never directly reference Ben Parker. There's a little Easter egg in Far From Home on the luggage, which is, even looking at MJ, in this film we find out she's not a Mary Jane. It's a totally different MJ. So it really hammers home the differences in the universe. So when the movie starts, it's from the very moment that Far From Home ends, like the exact second almost, and you're just thrown on this ride. And the trailer gives you the impression that this revelation happens, he goes to Doctor Strange tries to fix it, and all goes wrong. What they leave out are the implications of what has happened. Peter has to live with the idea that the entire world knows he's Spider-Man for like a month. And it's weird. You can see how the character would totally be changed. It ends up affecting MJ and Ned in a very negative way. And of course, Peter too. But when he sees his friends and loved ones getting hurt, and through no fault of their own, he feels he has to do something to make it right. Goes to Doctor Strange, says, "Hey, what can we do?" And the entire exchange leading up to that, it's believable in as much as it isn't some elaborate plot that feels like it was written. It feels like the plan of an 18-year-old kid just trying to make things right by the woman he loves and his best friend. He didn't think it through. He just went all in with his heart. And Doctor Strange is trying to help him, and then Peter, being Peter, assists Doctor Strange in screwing the entire thing up. And the next thing you know, not only do things go really wrong, but he also fixes the entire problem in the first place as far as making sure Ned and MJ are taken care of. He finds out that if he just takes responsibility for his actions and directly attacks them, he's going to have a better chance at life. So in the very beginning of the film, and the whole setup of the film, you already see growth in the character. It's really good. And of course, we see Doc Ock, we see Green Goblin, albeit in a slightly more traditional form of the character, not quite as overstated. Electro from the Amazing Spider-Man 2 comes back in the form of Jamie Foxx, who completely ditches his characterization and goes with a different style that's more him than anything else. And I've got to be honest, I love Jamie Foxx. I think he's a great actor, but I don't like his version of Electro in any way, shape, or form. And it's not just because of his performance. I just think they don't really nail down the character in what I remember. And granted, yellow and green spandex aren't very practical. So I liked his performance, but it wasn't Electro to me. And that's saying about Amazing Spider-Man 2, and even now, like, he does a better job in this one than he did before. I think he did a much better job than his initial run. I don't feel it. It feels like Jamie Foxx with electric powers being pissed off at Spider-Man. That's what it feels like. But I'm convinced he's pissed off. You know what I mean? It works well. Alfred Molina steals the show. Willem Dafoe steals the show for sure. The Lizard was a nice touch. And everyone more or less stays in character or goes on character journeys that, in my opinion, make sense in the context of the story that they're in. Spider-Man decides that he's going to not just undo everything and send these guys back essentially to die. He wants to help them. He wants to give them a chance at becoming something more. And he's so deep into it, he hasn't talked to MJ, he hasn't talked to Ned. They get worried, and through a complicated series of events, Ned uses a sling ring to open a portal looking for Peter, and he finds Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire in that order. It's a very, very well done way of putting it. They don't just show up. Like, events in the film lead us to those places. It's earned. Each Spider-Man kind of gets to tell his version of his tale in a short version. And they get to be reflections of the Peter we know in the MCU. And I think that if you're going to bring these people together, they all have to teach each other something, and they do accomplish that. I think the climax is really good. Almost everything that was set up was paid off. And I believe all of the emotional choices these characters make. You know, when Peter suffers the kind of loss that he suffers in this film, his reactions not only make sense within the context of Spider-Man as a character, how he typically tends to react in these situations, but this particular Spider-Man in this particular loss and this particular style of arc that they're doing. And by the end of the story, everything from the MCU Spider-Man arc up to this point is closed in a very real way. So you could basically look from, Civil War up through this movie. You have a complete story, and although you're left wanting more, it's because there's new places for him to go. Pascal Productions has already said they're going to be moving forward with more Spider-Man films. They're not done with the MCU at this point, but I don't know what that's really going to mean. I think that everyone's been so busy speculating about the multiverse and what it's going to mean for MCU, but the Spider-Man we end up with at the end of No Way Home, still in the MCU, is a very different Spider-Man. And I would argue that it is the most comic accurate Spider-Man we've ever seen. I know some of you are still watching that haven't seen the film, and there's a lot of stuff I'm leaving out on purpose. I'm going to wait until the film comes out on home media to have a greater discussion on like a live show or something like that. Any spoilers left in the comments of this video that are not in the video itself will be deleted. I feel like this is a movie you have to see. I'm not going to sit here and say you have to see it in the theater, or you have to go to great lengths to keep your head down until you get to see it. But if you can, if you have the means, you should. Very good film, and I meant what I said earlier. Best MCU film, best Spider-Man film, probably the best Marvel-related film ever made. And also, just one of the best emotional stories I've seen in a very long time. As a fan of Spider-Man, as a fan of the MCU, as a fan of movies, I don't think it gets much better than this. Go watch it. Those of you that are still sticking around, those of you who have watched it, maybe we should watch it again. I'm thinking about it. In the meantime, may all your card backs be straight, may your grinds be merry, and may you be able to find anything you're looking for at any given time at a price you feel is reasonable. I'm Grindhead Jim. Out of here. Cheers.